Hey Wargamers, today I want to talk about my top 5 winners and losers in the new Tau Codex. Before we do that though, I want to say thanks for watching. If you like this video, go ahead and hit subscribe. That way you don't miss any of my upcoming Tau unit reviews, battle reports, anything like that. Alright, so let's get started. Basically, this is not going to be a like a quantitative thing or anything like that. I'm not presenting them in any particular order, and there are lots of things that are improved and a lot of things that, you know, we could consider winners or losers in the Codex. I'm just going with 5 of each that I kind of like, things that I think are interesting and have some unique or updated or improved utility that they didn't have before. So let's talk about the losers first, because then we can end on a high point with the winners. All right, so losers, again, not in any particular order. Crisis suits. I mean, maybe, yeah, this would probably be the biggest loser because they didn't get anything special for jetpacks. Yes, you have stratagem and stuff like that, but no, they didn't get jump, shoot, jump back. They didn't get a point reduction, which is the biggest thing. They didn't get anything that actually made them a more competitive choice than commanders in certain situations. The only way that crisis suits are a better choice than a commander is if they're taking flamers. And even then, you know, you're putting a lot of points into flamers. So I'm not, you know, it's really just too bad that crisis suits did not get the respect that they deserve in this Codex. Really what I wanted to see was like a 10-point reduction in base cost and then like a 5-point reduction in weapon cost across the board or something like that. Maybe a little bit more of a decrease to begin with, or I don't know, something like that. I know a lot of people wanted to see them be ballistic skill 3 up. I knew that wasn't going to happen. Anyone who's been around more than 5 years knew that wasn't going to happen. So yeah, that was not on the table ever, but a points decrease was a very reasonable thing for them to do, and I'm surprised and disappointed that that didn't happen. So yeah, I'm going to say they are number 1 loser, just because they nothing really good happened for them. Number 2, Kroot and Vespid. I'm going to lump them together, and there's a couple other places in here where I lump units together just because they kind of all fit the same mold. Kroot and Vespid, they got a points decrease, which is good, but they still lack the overall utility that I really wanted to see from them. Kroot, you know, if they got the sniper option back, that would have been something, or like an outflank option would have been something, but you know, just anything like that would have been better than just a point decrease. They just don't have the maneuverability and or they really only need one of these two, or the offensive capability that I would like from Kroot. And basically the same thing with Vespid. They have an offensive capability, but they lack the staying power to really be a serious component of a list, as far as I can see right now. Of course, this might change going forward. All of these things might change going forward once we get a better feel for the Codex. It's still shiny and brand new. That means that you haven't got a lot of use out of it yet, and we always find new and surprising ways to use a Codex as it ages. So Vespid might be that. I don't think so, though. Number 3, special characters. Special characters really took one for the team here, I guess. Not for the greater good, though. Especially like Shadowsun and Farsight, because they are commanders, you are basically never going to take them because you're going to want to take something like a Cold Star instead. This just gives you a better option more of the time compared to a specialist character like Shadowsun or like Farsight. They didn't fare very well in the new Codex, and things like Anva getting a points increase, that hurts too. So special characters really did not do very well with the new Codex. The one exception, or maybe 2 exceptions, would be Longstrike and Darkstrider. Both of them did see improvements, but overall special characters did not really come out favorably in this Codex. Drones, yeah. Drones are in a little bit of a hard spot. They got that point increase that really hurt the amount of amount of drones that you can take, and Savior Protocols got a nerf as well. So drones did hurt quite a bit because of that. And I mean, you could chalk that up to really being a loser, not for drones, but for battle suits. But, you know, we'll say it's a loss for the drones just because you're not going to see as many of them now. They did get the ability to Manta Strike, which I think is actually a very good addition to them in the Codex. Allowing them to Manta Strike is huge because it means that you can use them to support Manta Striking commanders, or, you know, like Ivaras that use their escape thrust ability. You can use it to supplement them, or, you know, mid-game reinforcements. There's a lot of tactical reasons why Manta Striking drones are really good. So they did get that, but I think the overall point increase on gun drones and the loss of a reliable Savior Protocols does hurt. And so we're gonna ignore the positives here. Because that's what you do in loser lists, is you ignore the good things and only focus on the bad things. And we're going to say that drones are a loser this time. And then flyers. Flyers, man. Flyers are still not a very good choice. Things like the quad ion turret moving to assault instead of heavy is very good. Having a heavy weapon that you had to take a -1 when you shot it after moving, which you're obligated to do, didn't make sense. And so moving it to be assault is good, but they're still basically irrelevant. And yeah, so I think there's a missed opportunity there, certainly. So they're, yeah, still loser airplanes on the Tau side. All right, let's move on to winners. Now, these are not necessarily all things that got better, but they are things that I think, you know, if we're looking, did they go as worse as they could have? That's still a win, right? So we're talking economics term, right? There's an opportunity cost here that we're taking into account. Okay, number one, Riptide. I think the Riptide is a great, had a great improvement with the new Codex. The heavy burst cannon, all the stratagems available to it. It's hard to argue that the Riptide isn't, you know, the best or maybe the second best unit in the Codex now. It's just really a solid unit, and the ability to ignore all of the damage that's taken with stimulant injectors and you know, use command and control node, and still use Savior Protocols and deep striking drones to support it, and then the changes to the way the Nova profile works are all tremendous improvements for the Riptide, not to mention a really significant points drop. So Riptide, definitely a winner. I'm a big fan of the heavy burst cannon Riptide right now, and I think it's going to be a pretty dominant component of a lot of lists going forward. Broadsides got a really notable points decrease, and that's about it, but I think it makes them in the area of being relevant again. It makes them a competitive choice in certain situations, and that is a win. I'm still not entirely certain that the heavy rail rifle is superior to the high yield missile pod. I know you can run some numbers and have it come out either way depending on the context, but you're still relying on just a couple shots out of a significant point investment for a model. So you know, having those two shots is better than one shot, but you're still not guaranteed to hit that. So yeah, a win. I would have liked to see some minor tweaks to how the weapons work, but overall, a win. All right. The next one is another one of those group entries, and I'm going to put all Fire Warriors and Cadre Fireblades in this category here. I think they won quite a bit, especially with the Sept traits. A lot of the Sept tenants are benefiting Fire Warriors fairly well, not only with things like Vior Law and Borkan, but also things like Dalith or Sakea. All these things are benefiting Fire Warriors pretty darn well. Tau Fire Warriors, it makes having 3 shots at half range a lot more impressive in Overwatch when you're doubling your chances to hit, right? So Fire Warriors definitely have been improved. And then we look at things like the stratagems. Stratagems help Fire Warriors, both strike teams and breachers, a lot, especially breachers with the breach and clear stratagem. Man, that's some nice stuff right there. It's not game breaking, but it's a solid improvement. Then when we look at Cadre Fireblades, they are they're just money right now, right? So you have the benefits of things like Borkan, allowing them to shoot further and be more productive independently, but then you compound their ability on top of that with their surrounding Fire Warriors, and because Fire Warriors are better, Cadre Fireblades are better. And when we have an increased marker light range, they're more reliable, they're more useful, and then we have the uplink marker light ability or stratagem. And that means that you don't necessarily need to bring a bunch of supplemental marker lights. You can bring a couple Cadre Fireblade, use this stratagem, and bam, you're at 5 marker lights for a single target. So instead of needing to bring a bunch of Pathfinders, you can use Firesight Marksman, you can use Cadre Fireblades, which are what we're talking about right here. And you can have a reliable and sufficient marker light base just with them. And I think that's a really notable thing. So, you know, Fire Warriors, both strike teams, breacher teams, and Cadre Fireblades, I think all are big winners, and you'll see them come back to the board more often now that they have this improved utility and the flexibility granted to them by tenants and stratagems. Really, I'm happy with how Fire Warriors are looking right now. Stealth teams are another winner. Stealth teams, I'm excited about stealth teams primarily because of the Vior Law tenant. Allowing them to advance and fire their assault weapons without penalty is pretty darn awesome. Just because one of the issues with stealth teams is that you want to deploy them in a way that can mitigate deep striking opportunities against you or capture objectives early, things like that. And they don't necessarily have the maneuverability that they need to respond to the mobility that you often see on your opponent's side. And so being able to advance on top of your standard 8-inch movement and still fire at normal ballistic skill, that's really nice. I think that's that's an improvement that's good for anyone, but it's particularly useful for them, I think. Yet on top of that, like the Wall of Mirrors stratagem, when you combine them with a Ghost Kill, yeah, it's a valuable stratagem, and it again adds to their mobility, which is something that is really useful for them. So stealth teams, yeah, they're a winner. And the last one I think is going to ruffle some feathers, so get ready to attack your keyboards. The final winner, again, not in any particular order, Commanders. Now, I'm not just saying that just in the strict terms of Commanders and Enforcer armor. I'm saying Commanders as in the XV8, the Enforcer, and the Cold Star Commander. As a whole, having the Cold Star be able to take weapons, whatever weapons it wants aside from the Cyclic Ion Blaster, is tremendous. I mean, there's basically no reason not to do that unless you don't have the points, but I think it's definitely worth the points, especially when you combine it with things like deep striking drones for support. Now you don't have to pair Cold Stars with things like Remoras. You can have that mobile support. That's huge for them. You can put fusion blasters on them, which everyone, of course, is doing, and that helps you get in range. It again mitigates one of the major limitations on fusion blasters, the short range. You're able to advance 40 and shoot your fusion blaster and at anything you want, basically. That's great. And actually, because of their mobility, it's not a total waste to put a flamer on them and upgrade that to the Vior Law Relic flamer. In that case, there's actually a good reason to put that flamer on a Cold Star commander because, again, the limitation of flamers is their range. And so you can put a flamer on this Cold Star and not feel bad about it. You're like, yeah, I'm not using the ballistic skill anymore, but I am using that mobility that I can't get anywhere else. So yeah, I'm in love with Cold Star Commanders right now, and not just for the quad fusion output. There's so many good things about them that they deserve to be on the winners list. The reason why I'm going to say that Enforcer armor commanders are still winners is because, and I talked about this in an earlier video when I was talking with Rob from Preferred Enemies. If we had two options, like let's say Games Workshop was saying, okay, we need to do something about commanders. They had two options, right? They could either increase their point value significantly so that you could only take 1 to 3 commanders per army, or they could impose this hard limit. And between those two, I would rather have the hard limit because it saves me, 400, 500 points that I would have to pay for the commander otherwise. No, it is not elegant. No, it is not really what I wanted. But if I had to choose between having a hard limit and having to pay like 500 points per commander, I'd rather have the hard limit because then I can bring all the other stuff that I wanted to bring too, instead of having all those points going to commander. So we still get the commanders. They're still as good as they used to be. You just can't bring as many of them, and that's fine. I think that I'm going to call that a win, because it doesn't screw me over as much as having 500 point commanders would. So for that reason, yeah, commanders as a whole, they're in the winners column. I know it's going to ruffle some feathers. Tell me why I'm wrong or tell me why I'm right in the comments below. But those are my top 5 winners and top 5 losers of the new Tau Codex. A couple honorable mentions go to sniper drones. Sniper drones having the ability to actually do mortal wounds. Yeah, that's pretty darn good. Still not good enough for them to make the top 5 of my very systematic and rigorous system. But yeah, it's an improvement. Seeker missiles having the opportunity to do D6 wounds. Granted, they're not mortal wounds, they're not guaranteed, but overall you're getting a better output out of them. So yeah, Seeker missiles winning. I still like them better on hammerheads, especially if you're bringing a long strike. But yeah, having them on hammerheads or having them wherever you can get them, I think is a good deal for the most part, but especially on hammerheads. And then hammerheads, yeah, hammerheads are the last honorable mention. They do better when you have long strike, and this is another reason why special characters are kind of losers in this, is that they're dedicated to a specific sept, most often Tau, so you're pigeonholed to using the Tau tenant when you want to bring those particular characters. But yeah, if you have to bring long strike, they're going to be better, but even by themselves, the point decrease and everything surrounding that makes them definitely better than they used to be. So honorable mention, but still not top 5. Okay, all right. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and of course, happy wargaming. Hey everyone, this video was made possible by my supporters over on Patreon. If you like this video, consider heading on over to Patreon and joining our community there. Special thanks to NoExcusesPanda, Jordan, Paul Leuders, Giovanni DiMaggio, TauOswell, Deverson, Jared Egeler, Nick Steele, Max Harrison, and Youhei Penguin.